Welcome to Entering the Darkness podcast. This is Colin, and of course Dan can't make it tonight. Sorry about all that. He had some things he had to do tonight. This kid's sick, unfortunately. But we do have Al from Nightmare Crypt. Also, some of you may know him from the Underground Noise Webzine. They had also interviewed me about a year or two ago. Um, well, regarding the old band that I was in, Basilisk. This is Al. Care to introduce yourself, man?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for introducing me to your podcast, Colin. It's a honor to be here. So I humbly am happy to be here.
Definitely. Thank you. And we're
And
definitely happy to
yeah,
have you. Yeah, we're
yeah.
definitely happy to
My
have
name's
you here, man. Huh?
absolutely. Well, everybody, that if you don't know who I am, my name is Al Ditton. I do underground noise webzine with my buddy Rhino, and I also play in a band called Nightmare Crypt. And I was trying to get Justin here so my Heathen House necklace would be shown. So I have to give a shout out to Heath Hyde in the Heathen House in Court, Arkansas.
I know. Awesome. So of course, when you started Nightmare Crypt, like I mean, like was what prompted it? How did that come to be?
Well, it was after my former band had just died off because I couldn't find members to actually continue on the project that I wanted, and it
Hmm.
was called Obliterated Soul. So later on, I just came up with the idea for Nightmare Crypt in my head, and I just went on from there.
Hmm.
And 10 years later, here I am, still doing it.
Awesome. Great stuff. And then I saw that you were on a tour not too long ago with it. How'd that go? Was it actually pretty cool? Did you meet some pretty awesome people?
Yeah, actually, I made some new friends and had a bunch of weed and
Yeah,
some
yep, there
shrooms.
you go. Oh, come on. I mean,
It was
that's
great.
standard for tour. That's standard for a tour, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, dude. Plus, we got to open for some major bands in Arkansas. That was badass. Like Lividity, Cephalotripsy, Between the Killings, stuff like that. It was fucking sick, dude.
Awesome.
Even, I think I said Internal Suffering. They're definitely one of my favorite death metal bands.
Favorite death metal bands? Definitely. Oh yeah, I mean, Fellowships, he's got some freaking crazy, crazy, crazy stuff right there, man. It's just like that. Oh my God, I remember hearing them. It's like, damn, dude. You know, I mean,
Yeah, what?
do you,
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, do you have any kind of, do you have any kind of like stories from that tour that like happened, like things that kind of stick out to you?
Actually, yes. My friend and I came up with a joke. He's got a one-man band called Fetal Impalement. And want to give a shout out to Brendan Jackson. Sorry about all the shout outs, but I can't help myself tonight. He's definitely one of my best buddies. So we had come up with this joke. It was weird because I fell asleep and we were actually doing DoorDash deliveries the day before our tour, our first show, right? And that was in
Hmm.
Colorado. I wakened up and I'm just like, hey, whoa, would you look at that, Brendan? Look at that license plate in front of us. It says DERF. He's like, oh wow. I said, yeah, look at it backwards. It says Fred. So I'm like, Fred Durst, dirty penis. Woo! And he laughed his ass off so hard that we
Hmm.
started coming up with more than that. So it just continued and continued and continued until this
Hmm.
very day. It's almost a year old.
Right on.
So,
That is
so
awesome.
that's our little joke that we keep going on with. But something I can remember the most about that tour was just, yeah, like you asked me if I met some new people, lots of new people, made some new fans, new
Hmm.
friends, hung out with some really cool people that have been legends for years. Like I had mentioned, Lividity, that was just amazing. And it just sucks that Embalmer couldn't make it because their band broke down. And then they
Oh.
disbanded shortly thereafter. So
Hmm.
I never got into see Embalmer, perform live. So that was a little bit of a bummer, but we made up for it. There's some bands that filled in for some space, and other than that, it was a great time. Saw a lot
Hmm.
of great views along the way, seen a lot of crazy people around the world.
Definitely. Definitely.
But,
I was like, good. Oh, sorry.
oh, I was going to say, I had the poorest McDonald's service I ever had in Missouri.
Oh God, what happened there?
Well, we stayed at a mutual friend's house, right? And so
Hmm.
we went to go get some food, and he wanted McDonald's apparently. And I'm just like, you never eat McDonald's. And like, I do when I'm on tour sometimes. I'm like, when did you be on tour last? He's like, oh, this is my first time. I said,
Hmm.
okay then. So he got his food. This person that worked there got his food. The manager walks away, and I was just like, what the fuck? I'm thinking this sucks, and I got
Mm.
pissed, and the werewolf inside me nearly came out. I got that pissed off, so we went to the dispensary. I bought a joint, and I calmed down shortly after that.
There you go. That's an awesome
Yeah,
thing to do, though, at least. I mean,
yes.
do you have like any new recordings coming out or anything like that, Al? Like anything else? Because I know that you had the one that you had sent, which is really freaking awesome, by the way. Which, if I may
Oh
ask, may I
yeah.
add that to the actual when I edit this?
Oh, please do.
All right.
Yeah, we're actually working on the title track, which is going to be on the album. It's called Beyond the Void of Destruction, and
Hmm.
it's going to be part of the demo as well. But we're we're pretty much working on everything all at once, pretty much. So it's pretty much up in the air right now. Is when the demo is actually going to get released. So we're taking
Cool.
one step at a time.
That's
Sometimes
cool.
that's all we can do.
Oh yeah, for sure. Man, so it's definitely awesome to have you on here. Thank you so much, for coming in. It's just like it's really a cool thing, kind of like I wanted to do that for you too, since you did that for me, which was cool. It's like because I appreciated that when you did that. I didn't think anybody even remembered, even knew who, what was going on. And then it was just kind of like, and then I basically when I came up with this, I'm thinking, okay, maybe we should try to get Al on here. And then you hit me up again too and asked about it. And I was like, yeah, I was like, yeah, now's time. We should get him on here. Check it out, see what's going on, and see what's going. See what's good, basically. And how long have you been doing the underground noise thing, though? Like, how long were you guys around?
Well, it's funny you should ask. Underground Noise actually started, well, roughly back in 2008 before my friend Scott Bernhardt passed away, which was on Christmas of that year. Rest in peace.
Mm,
But anyway, long story short, he came up with the idea that I should interview bands and review their albums, you know,
hmm
and come up with the idea for like a make it like a fanzine or maybe a magazine, online magazine. So I was like, so you're telling me I should make a webzine. He's like, yeah,
hmm
dude. Maybe you'll get some free merch out of that. Shit. Who knows? Well, sure enough, I actually hit up a few bands and they were cool to send me a few things here and there.
hmm
And it started basically in 2008, January 2009. So that's a long time ago to think of it. 16,
That's
17
really
years ago, roughly.
dang. Right on.
Yeah, dude. So it basically started out in text format on Blogger. I'm sure you're familiar with Blogger,
Logger,
Google.
yep.
Yeah, that was a big deal back in the day. That's basically how I started it. And there's a lot of famous, you know, metal musicians that actually have passed away that were on the text format, which I can still
hmm
pull up this very day and just reminisce about it. And ever since technology has changed over the years, and I found out about Zoom during COVID and shit, that's made a world of difference for the world. It's opened so many different things. Everyone's doing podcasts nowadays. You are, I am. Kelly does
hmm
podcasts. The Garza podcast. That's fucking sick. It's good to see that. Even Savage
hmm
Ladies of Metal, I'd like to give those girls a shout out. My
hmm
friends Fran and Crystal, you guys are great. Keep it going.
Definitely. It's
All of you guys.
just as you were mentioning the Garza podcast. I mean, I don't know how he got some of the people that it's like I'm like, oh my God, dude, you got like some people that like that totally didn't even think. I'm like, oh my God, how'd you get that? Like he just recently had was Chris Garza recently had Shannon Lucas.
Yep.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah, he also had Glenn Benton from Deicide.
Oh yeah. He
I
did.
actually watched that whole interview, and it seems like Glenn was actually not being a dick for once. I was
Yep.
like, wow, what a difference. And
hmm
speaking of him, I've been told that I look like Glenn Benton every now and again. Some people are like, hey, anybody ever tell you that you look like Glenn Benton? I have to say to them, I get it all the time. Thanks for the compliment. I don't listen to Deicide that much anymore.
Right. Well, minus the inverted crucifix scar that he has in his head, you know what I mean? But the
Mine's a lightning bolt. It's
like his
actually funny that you say that because when I was younger, I got hit in the face with some dude that had a rock between his knuckles, and
oh
I
no.
just let it out everywhere, man. But
Oh.
I'll have to save that story for you at another time. But there was a lot of fucking blood. I can
Yeah.
definitely say that. It was brutal. I was
Mm.
passed out.
So when you did this tour though, were you guys like in a van, or was it just sort of like did you guys
Oh
were you all like
no.
sharing something?
It was just the two of us at the time, just Brendan and myself before Chewy Camacho joined from intestinal dissection. Um, well, we were in his car actually, and we just basically drove, stopped in Missouri after our first show, and then went to Cord right after that. You know, we
Mhm.
woke up the next day and drove to Cord and joked on the way and made a couple of silly videos with each other and went on from there. Had a great time.
All right. I mean, do you have anything else coming up soon or anything like that, or?
I'm hoping so. I want to do more shows, yet we're limited because he's out of state. He lives in Colorado. I live in Georgia, and Chewy lives in Texas. So it kind of makes things a little difficult with traveling issues, but we're going to make the best of what we got. You know, we still got it.
I've been noticing a lot of things like lately now. It seems like there's a lot of younger musicians starting to get into like the death metal scene and stuff like that and a little bit of things like I mean, do you have you seen any of that? Like when you're out on the road, did you see any younger ones?
Actually, I had because the last time that I wasn't, well, before the tour, well, actually after, I should say, this was way after. I walked into some convenience store and someone recognized me as Al from Nightmare Crypt. And I heard, wait, what? No way. But on tour, I seen some metalheads in convenience store wearing like, Cannibal Corpse t-shirts and stuff. I asked them if they were
Mhm.
going to the festival, and they're like, "Oh, what festival?" I'm like, "What? You don't know about Arkansas Death Fest?
Oh
Come on,
man.
wake the
Arkansas.
fuck up, guys! Come on,
Oh
gotta
hell
stop
yeah.
squeezing that. You gotta stop squeezing that cow's udder a little too much hard. You know, gotta stop doing that shit.
Oh yeah.
Get in the mosh pit, fucker."
Hmm. Oh man, how long have you been actually doing this? Like you've been playing like music in general even before Nightmare Crypts. Like it's I would imagine maybe for years then or
I learned how to start playing guitar a little bit when I was 9 years old, around there, 8 or 9, if so. I mean, I learned
Hmm.
how to start playing acoustic a little bit. Then I got tired of doing that. I started learning how to play electric by the time I was like maybe 13 or 14.
Hmm.
And
13, 14.
of course, back then I was coming up with some cheesy riffs. And now the stuff that I've been writing seems a lot more insane. So I'm enjoying it better. So I would say, yeah, close to 30 some years or more. I'm
37.
45 now.
Right on. Yeah, there's I mean I've been doing bass maybe what like 25, 26 years now. So that's like really it's been pretty interesting. I don't think I'm any better than I was when I started, but but it's kind of, but was it always metal though for you though, or was it always just like, or was there like different types of genres that got you in that like transitioned you into metal or?
Well, good question. I actually grew up listening to a very array of music, basically, because my dad liked the big band swing bands. He
Oh,
also liked
nice.
stuff like the Oak Ridge Boys and the Righteous Brothers and stuff like that. Mom liked stuff like the Kingston Trio, and we had my brother and I had a babysitter who actually liked Iron Maiden
Hmm.
and Judas Priest and Pink Floyd and Black Sabbath and stuff like that. But once he put Iron Maiden on, we're just like, turn that loud down, Bruce. It's too loud. Because when you're a kid, everything's too loud, you
Hmm.
know. But it was great because I started hearing what Dave Murray was doing on guitar. I'm like, that's what I want to do someday.
Hmm.
Right then and there, I was a believer. I was about 4 or 5 years old.
Hmm. I think
So,
what I think what drew me into bass initially was I want to say that like what made me very confident in becoming one had to have been Les Claypool.
oh, he's badass, dude.
Mhm. Which is why it's like that and then obviously Cliff Burton, may he rest in peace, and Peter Steele, may he rest in peace. You know what I mean? But it was like because that's the whole bass distortion thing, but um but that's I think that's where that came from. I mean, have there been any other influences on your end that have like, made you want to do that too? Obviously you said Dave Murray, but then there's like about like any other guitar players that you've really kind of been like, dude, I want to be that guy too.
Well, I like that question a lot. Very good question. Um, lots of them actually. But to name like say a top five, just randomly, I would say like John Petrucci,
Ooh,
um, John McCanty from Incantation, who I recently met. So
yes.
that
Hmm.
was that was fucking sweet, right up there in Atlanta. Um, who else? Let me think. Dimebag Darrell.
Uh-huh.
Even though I'm not really into Pantera as much as I used to be, I
Hmm.
will say that they did have their own thing going. I didn't agree with all of it, but whatever.
Hmm.
Um, it is what it is. Then let me think of some more guitarists. Um, shit. Uh, there's so many of them out there, Colin.
Hmm. Oh
I
yeah.
would say JF Dagnius, or how you say his name, Dagnay. I don't know, but
Hmm.
from Cataclysm, I
Oh
met him
yes.
on a couple of occasions. Really sweet dude. Always
Mhm.
been nice to me.
Awesome.
Uh, and also, I would have to say Dave Basher from Lividity.
Lividity. Awesome.
Yeah. So
Cool.
there's a bunch of them that help make up my sound. Pretty much anything that sounds really decent to me. Even Prince. I like some Prince.
Mhm. Actually, our
And I was,
actually my co-host Dan,
yeah.
if he were to be here, he actually was a huge he's actually really huge into Prince. If he were to be here, he'd probably show you the big Prince banner that he has behind him when he's doing that. It's like over his amplifiers. Yeah, it's like he has it like hanging over his amps and stuff like that. It's really cool. So that's why he
That
had a
is
lot of
cool.
that's why when we started jamming, he had like he always had like this like purple thing or whatever. It was like he always like the purple scheme thing. I'm like, and then when he told me why it was because of Prince, I was like, ah, okay, I got you because of Prince,
That's
which was,
awesome.
hmm oh yeah, he's been very much into that. So I mean, do you have any other kinds of things that are like non-metal that you incorporate into your music at all?
Um, Possibly, but not really. I really don't know. Um, Maybe a little bit of hardcore and some
Mm-hmm.
grindcore influences.
Hmm.
Even
Okay.
though it's kind of like metal, even though they're different terms, different subgenres and stuff. But that's, I mean, it's basically how you present it. You know what I mean? It could be in the
Hmm.
music or it could be with your voice. You know what I mean? Like you
Hmm.
could make a hardcore, scream, or you could do a death metal growl, or you could do a cry scream, which is pretty much black metal,
Hmm.
in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
Or you
for
could be one
sure.
of those whiny emo little punks that your girlfriend broke up with you. Now you got to go kill yourself. What the fuck's wrong with you? Fuck that
Yeah.
poser.
Right. We've had oh yeah, there's we've
Seriously.
I remember that era, years and years back.
Oh yeah, it makes me laugh till this very day. Because I remember when it was June 6th, 2006,
Hmm.
and someone was like, "Dude, it's National Emo Kid Beatdown Day." I said, "Let's go, fucking a."
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh, I
I
do
didn't really
remember
get
that.
involved. I didn't do anything. I didn't do
Mm,
nothing. I just basically just stayed there. I stayed at my
mm.
friend's house. I'm like, you go to where the hell you want. I'm gonna stay the hell here.
Yep,
So
exactly. Kind of like in Smokey and the Bandit when he said that. You guys do what you want. I'm staying right here.
yeah, he ended up going to his sister's bakery to get a donut. I'm like, you come back with one donut. Where's
Right.
mine, dude?
Right. Exactly. Oh man.
Yeah, I'd have to say a little bit of punk rock actually.
Punk rock?
There's a little bit of that. Yeah, there's a little bit of a punk influence.
Right
I have
on.
a song that's got basically like a punk style riff to it, and it starts out really slow,
Hmm.
and it's kind of cool because it's kind of like how Malevolent Creation came up with one song called "Day of Lamentation," where it's
Yes.
acoustic,
Hmm.
and you hear Brett screaming over the
Hmm.
music.
Yep.
That's basically the same idea. So what I'm going to do for that song, but it's going to be growling and
Hmm.
also screaming. And
Nice.
then it'll hit into the distortion. You'll hear some punk rock vocals in that. So it'll be a bit weird, but it'll be cool. You know what I mean?
Well, it's always a good thing to kind of mix things up a little bit. That's always really cool, to kind of keep people keep people on the edge of their seat for a second, kind of like, wait, what is the, what's he gonna do now? Kind of make them wonder a little bit. I love that.
Yeah. Yep. It's all about originality, not trying to be
Hmm.
like everybody else. That's why Nightmare
Uh,
Crypt has its own sound.
hmm I've seen way too many. I've seen way too many bands that sound just like the other one. I'm thinking, didn't I just listen to this one? When you mentioned about punk, though, I mean, are there any like really big influences from for punk bands? Like, I mean, are there ones you would be able to pull from that, just off the top of your head?
Yeah, Bad Religion, No Effects, Minor Threat, Total Chaos,
Hmm. Oh man.
Black, Black Flag,
Hmm.
even Bad Brains I would throw in there, even though they're technically hardcore, but they're still kind of punk, you know.
Hmm.
Cro-Mags,
Oh
I like
yes,
those guys a
Mags.
lot. Fucking
Hmm.
Cro-Mags, man. Harley's a monster.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Definitely. All these I mean, like all the punk bands, it's like I think that too is on I find myself doing the same thing, kind of going more into the old into the more older punk kind of stuff now too. I'm kind of starting to get more into that era again.
Hmm.
Um and incorporating that into some of the black metal that I'm trying to write. You know what I mean? Incorporating
That's
those kind of
cool.
riffs, but then it's like listening to a lot of the
Yeah.
other punk, and then that's kind of so it's like I can see where that kind of mixes in with all of us here, with like metal and everything else like that. So that's kind of,
Hmm.
and you can hear that influence in pretty much a lot of bands now too. I'm noticing there's some that do, that mix in that kind of influence where it kind of like it'll go super fast and also you get this weird kind of, you get like the sort of the polka beats on the drums and then the like sort of punk like bar chord kind of things and it goes right back into this really really heavy 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 riff and back into that. So that's always really cool that they're, instead of it being sort of like clashing with each other, it seems like
Oh
everybody's
yeah,
kind of incorporating it.
absolutely, dude. Even Ramones is a huge influence to me.
Hmm.
Yeah, the very first album was my favorite.
It's a beautiful album. It's an awesome album. And if what really always got me was that how Johnny was able to get that Moss right to sound just, oh my God, that tone. That tone. I don't even know how he got that tone with that guitar, but it's like you could hear that those pickups were just hot. They were just hot. I don't know how he got that to
Mhm.
do that. You know, it was
Well, he
I
just knew
mean,
he was doing, man.
hmm And well, like if you saw
Yeah.
in like in Rock and Roll High School when they played that too, I'm thinking and when they did the live part of that. I was like, I was like, dude, he's getting it off that little thing. It's got like looks like it just has like two like single coils or whatever it was in it. I'm thinking, my God, it's still getting that much of it. It's getting that much push, that much power out of it. You know what I mean?
It's just crazy what you can do with music, man.
Hmm.
Anything's possible. The sky's the limit. Keep going. Don't give up.
Right. Exactly. What with your guitar though? Like, I mean, do you use like a certain, is there certain brands that you're loyal to, or I mean, does it really matter to you, or?
I actually have my BC Rich to my left, and I also have my Ibanez guitars. So I like BC Rich and Ibanez a lot.
Awesome. Yes, BC Rich has always been. I've noticed seems to be the standard a lot of the time in black metal bands I've seen. A lot of
Mhm.
them sometimes warlocks or different things like that. I obviously Ibanez seems to be the go-to for pretty much almost any genre of metal. Obviously Korn being one of those, and there's a lot of different other bands that do that. Um, it's just I don't know what it is. I think maybe it could be durability, right, reliability, maybe with those. I mean, like, is it more comfortable for you those ones or?
Absolutely. I like a maple neck. There's something about the maple neck, it just feels right.
Hmm. That's
I
actually,
could sit down and try to play a Fender, but it just doesn't feel good to my fingers. It's like too high up of the strings, and you just got to make them a little bit lower.
yep.
It
I
feels
had
good.
a I had a Squire bass in high school like that. Like the action was way too high on it, and I literally remember sat an entire day just lowering that thing way down enough to where it was like my fingers were just, like it was like almost barely off the neck. You know what I mean? That way it felt more comfortable for me to play it. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. That's how I felt about my Harmony acoustic guitar that my that my father purchased for me. Rest in peace, Dad.
mhm,
Well, that guitar ended up being a piece of shit because I just couldn't do bar chords with that. I couldn't do nothing without my fingers trying to bleed. So
mhm,
later on, I got my Pierce Electric, and then later on, I got rid of my acoustic and I gave it to a friend who ended up later on smashing it.
mhm.
Like, what'd you do that for? He's like, oh, it's sort of for a moment. I'm like, way to go, Ryan,
Yeah.
dumbass.
Right. Oh
I
man.
just love it, people, man.
I'm noticing you have a mortician shirt on there, man, dude. Freaking, that's an awesome thing for mortician right there, dude. You gotta love that.
Chainsaw Dismember
Uh,
at its finest.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, have you met those guys
Yes,
at all or
sir.
anything?
Oh, I would love to. I would love to see Roger and Will Robert. You know,
Hmm.
those guys are great, man. Just phenomenal, iconic. You know, it's funny that you bring that up just because, uh, John McCanty used to be a former member of Mortician, and Will used to be a former member of Incantation.
Man,
How crazy is that?
that is nuts, man. I just like,
And it's like, is there a role reversal in the house or some shit?
what's that?
I mean, seriously, is there a role reversal going on?
Right,
It's like
exactly.
you guys switching sides over here or something? Come on, I want to be over here. I want to be over there.
Hmm. It's almost like, well, it's almost like the Cannibal Corpse and 6 Feet Under situation. Notice like Jack Owen left, then he went to Deicide, and then now he's in 6 Feet Under with the original vocalist of Cannibal Corpse, which is kind of, which I'm just like, okay, this is really really weird. It's like you guys are swapping members back and forth. You know what I mean?
It just ain't the same, is it?
It
It's not like it used to be, where you could just
no.
send somebody a letter and tape trade with them.
Hmm. Oh yeah, I remember that.
That shit. Yeah, I miss those days.
Man, like those little low quality mixtapes that are like almost warped, but you still loved it. It sounded so good. You know, like it sounded so awesome to you because it was just like,
Absolutely.
you know, oh man.
Totally, dude. I still collect tapes. I really do. If I see tapes, I'm there for it, but I just don't get them all the time.
Mm. No, that's actually the one thing that I wanted to do. My biggest, probably the biggest thing that I've always ever wanted to do. I know when Basilisk had been signed, one of the things that I had tried to push for was to do, was to have like, like maybe a couple, like maybe 100 or maybe 50 copies pressed on vinyl. We never obviously got to that stage, but and everybody was looking at me like, why would you want to do vinyl? I'm thinking, dude, man, I'm like, oh, you have no idea how classic that is and like how awesome and how vintage that was. I would want like tons of cassettes too. You know what I mean? That's
Oh,
just the way that I
absolutely.
am. That's the era that I grew up in, you know?
Yeah, you got to collect what you enjoy collecting. I collect CDs still.
Mm. Oh yeah, I have
Yeah,
a whole bunch.
same. I'm close to 700 right now.
Man, I remember it was like in when I was still living back in Michigan in high school, was it like I had like a little TV standard bookshelf that was like maybe like two or three shelves deep. Had
Mhm.
like close to like 200 or 300 on one. Then there's another shelf over here had like a whole drawer full of like another 200 or 300 in this one. And then I had like
That's
these big
exciting.
like had these like big books like this, so like like this thick that had like like tons and tons more in them. It was really, oh man. I don't know where most of those went, but hey,
Hey, with the media these days, man, you can download pretty much anything.
hmm. Oh
You
yeah.
know,
I can
it's
even find like
insane.
I can find like rare demos that I hadn't even heard and like that I'd never heard before from certain bands. I'm like, how can I find I'm finding these demos now online. This is so crazy. How'd you do that?
Yeah,
Oh
I
man.
found some early Deeds of Flesh stuff the other day, and I was like, wait, what? Are you kidding? There's some Deeds of Flesh stuff out there that I haven't heard? Damn.
Uh,
I remember how I
Dude,
found it. It was insane.
man, I gotta find that, man. Just like you, I thought I'd heard everything from Deeds of Flesh, but my God, dude. You know,
For real.
that's
Rest in peace,
man.
Eric.
Oh yeah.
I got to meet Eric, back in '06.
Back in '06?
Yeah, 2006, I met Eric Lindmark and also Mike Hamilton and also what's his name? Jacoby Kingston. Met the whole band.
Dang.
It was fucking sick, dude. Really good show.
Mm.
And it
I
was
remember,
Decrepit Birth's.
was that?
Oh, I was gonna say it was Decrepit Birth's first tour.
Oh, the Cup Birth? Oh man.
Yeah, it was their first tour, so I got to hang out with those dudes too.
Mm. Well, I remember
Same with
hearing,
Odious Mobile.
oh, I remember reading a article, was it recent, a couple of years ago? Was it for Decrepit Birth? I think one of their guitar players got busted for being like some sort of weird pederast or something like that.
Yeah, I hate talking about that shit.
Yep.
You know, he was all,
No,
he was all, it's just crazy.
man. Because when I heard that, I was like, dude, I'm like, there's no way they could be from Decrepit Birth. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, you know. I'm like, man, but At least they're still around and minus that creep. You know what I mean? Obviously, you know what I mean.
Yeah, the only thing I can say about that is extirpate the pedophile.
Right. There you go. Yep, definitely. Definitely. Oh man. Let me see. I was oh yeah. I was actually about to say that when you were talking about like how we've met like how you've met like people like Deeds of Flesh and everything like that. If you notice I'm wearing the this goat horse shirt right here. This is
Oh
actually
yeah.
yep, and it actually what the weirdest part was that when Goat Horror would come to Detroit, right? The first time I ever saw them live was at Sounds of the Underground 2007 for the for that big Guar thing. And I remember being me and my buddy George and our friend Kathleen and our buddy Josh. We were the only ones literally on the floor. Everybody else was sitting off to the side because you had these kids that were like had like these like sweatbands and the short running shorts, and they're all trying to do these little like pit ninja kind of stuff, like all to like Devil Wears Prada stuff like that. And so they're all looking at us because we're all sitting like we're all in the middle of the pit, and we're just like yeah, doing all that stuff for goat horror. And I guess Ben remembered that. You know what I mean? He remembered that, and it was just kind of a. And then I saw them again at Metal Blade 25th anniversary in Majestic Theater in
Oh,
Detroit.
sick, dude.
Yep. And they were there again. Ben was the one who sold me this shirt, and um, then I came, and then I spoke with him again after the show a little bit. And then I went to Harpo's a couple months later. They were with, I think, I want to say they were with like Divine Heresy and a couple other bands, right? And then as soon as I walked in, Ben looks over, he's like, Colin? And I'm like, what's up, dude? And he's like, hey, man. We just come, we start talking and everything like that. He introduces me to the rest of the band as well. I get to like talk to everybody else. We're all just kind of hanging out while I worked with for a little while. I got to meet 3 Inches of Blood as well. I got to meet all kinds of different bands that were on that tour that night. It was really, 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 really cool. The fact that he remembered who I was by name, that was huge. You know what I mean?
I could definitely imagine that was a great time.
hmm And he was, I
Much
mean, just
needed,
in
I'm
the,
sure.
what's that?
Much needed, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was, and then the other one that we had was I think there was it? Oh yeah, that St. Andrew's Hall.
Yeah.
Sharon Den Adele from Within Temptation. You wouldn't think that Within Temptation would be playing in a small venue like, St. Andrew's Hall, the old rundown church that it used to be, right? Or the old church that it
Mhm.
used to be. And then sure enough, we went and saw them, and it was almost like a stadium. It was almost like an arena style show in this tiny, tiny venue. And she comes down the stairs. Me and my buddy also both got pictures with her and everything like that. She just walks out all by herself. Nobody's paying any attention to her or anything like that. I'm thinking, dude, you realize this is like a metal legend here from like the Netherlands. This is like Sharon Dan Adele, dude. What is going on? And then so we took advantage of that and got pictures with her. Got to meet Cannibal Corpse a couple years later at I can't remember where it was actually, to be honest, but I met those guys, and then
That's cool. I met Cannibal.
oh yeah, that was Pat was still with him when I met them. I think Pat was still like the beast of guitar player that he is. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. Watching frantic disembowelment with those monster hands the dude has. It makes me wonder if he can palm a basketball.
I know. Well, when I saw that video of
But,
it, he's just I'm like, what the heck are you doing? You know?
that video was insane because I remember when I first seen it, and then later on, I get a phone call from one of my best pals. He's like, "Hey, Al, you need to come over here and check this shit out. He can actually play it on his guitar." I was really
Mhm.
impressed at the time because I'm like, "How long did it take you to learn how to play that?" It's like 2 days. I'm like, "What? 2 fucking days, bro!" I had to give him a high five for that shit because I was just mind blown. Like,
hmm
really, fucking a.
hmm I'm still trying. I'm still trying to learn that bass line because if you watch how Alex was doing it too, he's just like looking like he's kind of like trying to like, what the hell's going on? When he's trying to play that bass line on it. It was.
Yeah, because for a while there, at first it sounded like mumbo jumbo to me, but then I heard it again. I'm like, wow, this is beyond mind blowing. What the fuck am I listening to? I
Hmm.
still jam that song till the day I die.
Oh yeah.
You know.
I know that people kept requesting it at the 25th anniversary too, and it was like Pat just kind of goes like this. He goes like this because because none of them knew because none of them could play it live or something like that. I guess it was or something like that, or like they I think they did it like once or twice or something like that. But Pat kept like kind of shaking his head like they can't either that they can't do it or something like that. It was just like because people were like Freddie disembowel him, and he's just like shaking his head, live when I saw them. It was like one of the craziest things. I know.
Stimulus, activities, manipulate millions, causing anxiety, devastating millions. Something needs to control this madness. God, the world, start holding sadness. Initiator of prisoner of sun. As an attack, evil is grunting eruption. Brutal force to keep you in the loop. Enemies won't get wherever we Green, take, or mad thought, ring, feeling, more than distraught, their guilt has come to no conscious ending, the waters on their nonsense. Initiator of prisoner of sun. As it attacks, evil is grunting eruption. Brutal force to keep you in the loop. Enemies won't get wherever we Stimulus, activities, manipulate millions, causing anxiety, devastating millions. Something needs to control this madness. God, the world, start holding sadness. Initiator of prisoner of sun. As it attacks, evil is grunting eruption. Brutal force to keep you in the loop. Enemies won't get wherever we sick,
Uh, hmm. Well, I
But
mean, but
going live, it's a totally different setup.
it is generally when you go live. Right on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know too much detail about it. All I know is that Brendan uses his guitar amp and your own stuff, and then we use the bass backing track and guitar backing track and drums. And of
Mhm.
course, my vocals are just straight up vocals. For what you hear, that's definitely
Mhm.
live.
So it was just you and your buddy you said that played live?
Yeah, right now it is. I mean, hopefully Chewy will be doing shows with us if all goes well. Hopefully he doesn't drop out. I love
Mhm.
that dude. I love Chewy and Brendan to death. They're like good brothers to me.
Mhm.
So
For sure.
Brendan especially, he's like the little brother I wish I had when I was growing up.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But as you were mentioning earlier though, before that, like your parents weren't, were like into all kinds of different types of music, as you said, like some of it was big band stuff and everything like that. Have you ever thought of like incorporating some of that old stuff, like like maybe Benny Goodman or like some old like swing and like ragtime old stuff like that into your music?
Well, that would be a pretty interesting idea for like an intro. You're "Bah, bah, bah, bah."
Oh,
That'd be,
yeah.
insane. I mean, who would ever come up with that idea like you?
Mhm.
Swing death metal.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm going to New York and I'm gonna take my woman dancing.
Yeah. Yep.
Like
All
in the
that.
graveyard or some shit, you know what I
Mm. Well, that'd be
mean?
cool. That'd be cool, you know. But I thought about
Yeah,
it at
we're
one
close
point,
to that.
right? Well, no, I thought about it at one point. There was a metal band I was trying to start when I was in San Diego years and years back, right? I kept trying because I kept thinking, I'm like, I noticed like with ska bands, they're using like saxophones and trumpets and trombones and all that stuff and French horns sometimes. I was like,
Mhm.
what if there was a metal band that would have a tuba? Like some dude in the tuba just and doing these weird things like as everybody else is doing like these really heavy riffs and stuff. You have somebody in the like in the back just blowing the tuba also as well, with
That'd be
everything. And that was like,
interesting.
yeah, like it never came to fruition, but I was like, man, that'd be a pretty interesting idea to have a tour, to have like just a big tuba player, you know,
Yeah, I was going to say, call it tuba metal.
a tuba metal. That'd be, oh man, oh man.
That's
But
funny.
do you so again as you guys play live there, that Arkansas Metal Fest thing there, I mean, like what was that? Because I saw the pictures of it. It was like, was it like a really really big like a very very big like a big draw, or is it just like a little like a local festival thing?
Well, it's pretty much in Arkansas, like I said, and basically, it's my friend Heath Hyde. He's the one that's the owner of the idea and everything, basically. And he's the one that puts on the festival organizations behind it. But I mean, I saw about maybe 40, maybe 50, maybe 60 people there, if that, maybe
Hmm.
100. I don't even know how many head counts there were really. But anyway, it was a great time because the venue itself is really huge. It's on a property of 200 acres or so,
Hmm.
and the stage is huge, and the sound quality is just enormous. I mean, when you go up to the treehouse and you listen
Hmm.
to, the music coming out of those speakers, you're just surrounded like a
Hmm.
whirl of sound. No matter where you go, you could go like where people are camping and stuff, like where the tents
Hmm.
are. You can hear
Hmm.
music right there. You go back to where the house is near there, you can still hear it blaring. So anywhere you
Hmm.
go, you got great sound no matter what. I have to give a shout out to my buddy JP Jennings because both him and whoever else did the sound, you guys are fucking sick.
Hmm.
You guys are
Oh yeah.
awesome. You guys know what you're doing. Keep it up.
Hell, hell yeah. Do you? Because I know you, since you said you've been doing underground noise for like, like years now, right? All that.
Right.
Are there any like interviews or guests that like really, really stand out to you that were like, or the people that you had interviewed that you're like, oh my God, I can't even believe I actually got to talk to this person, or even if it's just in text or if it's even like over like what we're doing now, you know?
Actually, quite a few of them, Colin. I would have to say Paul Mazurkis from Cannibal Corpse. He was on the show twice,
Oh
along with John
man.
McCanty and Chuck Sherwood from Incantation. That was fun. And of course, Terrence Hobbs from Suffocation. That was a big deal.
Oh man.
And I had Chris Vervelis from Internal Bleeding on twice.
Oh
And
man.
just pretty much those guys, those are the only ones I can actually really think of at the moment.
Hmm. I think I want I got when we get Tim on here too, I just want to be like I feel like I want to just pick his brain and be like, dude, how are you that fast? How are you that fast? How are you that fast and that accurate, dude? How can you do that, man? How are you even human? You know what I mean? It's like awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly, dude. Because that's exactly how I feel about Flo Monier from Cryptopsy. That dude can probably go up to 350.
Oh man.
Could you imagine playing at 350 beats per minute? I'd be screaming. My wrist, my whole entire hand would probably shatter into fragments,
Oh my God. No,
into oblivion. You know what I mean?
I remember there was a band that I was in. We did like 220, and I couldn't even move my hand after that. You know?
120 is not too bad.
Yeah, it was. I mean, 220 was still like that was the first time I'd ever done
Yeah,
it. I'm just like,
220.
yeah,
I'm
220.
sorry, I totally misheard you. 220.
Yeah,
Wow, dude, that's pretty fast. Yeah.
yeah. I was like, I just remember like I'm sitting there like, oh my God, what the heck is going on? Like, and then I thankfully I got it accurate. But I remember going home on my. I remember driving home. I had like a 25-mile drive, and I remember like I drive with my left hand for whatever reason, even though I'm right-handed. But like I could not touch the wheel. I'm like, oh my God, this
Oh,
hurts. My hand
wow.
is aching so bad. I'm like, my God, I can't even feel my fingers right now. I had to drive like pretty much with my arm. like this going home. Because I'm like, man, I
Oh
can't feel my
shit.
hands right now. Yeah. It
I feel
was.
your pain, brother. I feel your
Because I remember looking
damn.
over the drummer. I remember looking over the drummer. He's sitting here like doing just these things. And it's like not even affecting him. He's just like, doing all that stuff. And I'm looking over like, what the hell is this guy doing? Like what the hell is this? How are we able to do this? How are we able to do this? And then, but I mean, thankfully I got through it. You know what I mean? That was really, you know. But then after that, I kind of was like, can we just slow it down a little bit? You know what I mean? Because I don't know, I don't know if my hand, I don't know, it's gonna be like in those things where you see like the fingers just shredding down, going down to like nothing down to the
Oh
bone.
yeah.
You know?
I can really imagine what that was like, man. I actually
Now,
shredded one of my fingers one time playing my guitar. I was
hmm
playing my Ibanez RG 120 that I used to have, and
hmm
I ended up shredding this finger on one of the strings because I was just fucking around, and for some reason my fingers just got stuck on one of the strings, and I just kept on doing it and doing it and doing it because I didn't care. And I looked down, I'm like, oh, I'm bleeding, cool. But I just kept on doing it until I bled some more. I didn't give a
hmm
shit.
Oh yeah,
That's what
that
you gotta
happened.
do. The love of metal, dude.
Exactly. That happened actually with that very first black bass. I think I showed it to you guys when I was on your pod there. Yeah,
You
that
did.
actually
You did.
yep. Yeah, that actual bass like was covered in blood one time because of the fact that I'm getting so far into it, and then the part of the bridge has this really pointy part to it. I don't know why. It's like this really
Hmm.
sharp part. I went in to kind of do like this really hard slap or something like that, and it cut like through the web of my finger like this, or the web of my hand like that, and then it's keep going like
Ouch.
this, and all of a sudden I'm like, what the heck? And then I kept trying to figure out like why do I keep feeling like this warm liquid on my hands? Why do I keep why are the strings so slippery? Realizing the whole freaking base is covered in blood. I'm just like, oh my God. I had to have like a bandage I
Well,
had to have a bandage like this for like 3 or 4 days. Just cover the whole thing. That was
I was
oh
gonna
man.
say, tear that bandage fucking off and play Rain in Blood,
Right, exactly.
dude.
Mm, man.
Could you imagine?
Oh
Holy
God.
shit.
Playing radio stuff like that. Jesus, dude. Man.
Give
Uh,
it a whole new meaning.
brand new meaning for that. And then actually, speaking of that, though, that was really crazy that Slayer came back for like 2 shows or something like that recently.
Yeah, I heard. I heard, and I was thinking, what's the point of only two shows or whatever, you know? If you
hmm
guys are gonna reunite, at least go around the country a couple of times or
hmm
something.
hmm
2 shows, that's a dick tease right there.
Right. I would have loved it for that to happen. I mean, because like I remember I again I don't remember when it was that I saw Slayer, but like it was like I know that I saw them. It's somewhere within all those like hundreds of shows that I saw, but I remember seeing them. I remember seeing them, and then I was just like, dude, what the fuck was that? I was like totally blown away by it. And then it would have been nice to see Slayer again. You know what I mean? It would have been nice to see them just again one more time. But it was, I mean, I don't. For anybody out there who's never seen it, I mean, if you've never seen a Slayer show, dude, I mean, you are pretty much. I mean, even if you're not in the pit, bro. Uh-huh. What's that? You never seen
I'm
it?
one of them. I'm one of them. I had never seen Slayer.
You never got to see it?
Never.
Oh man,
Nope. Nope. But from what I've seen on videos, it looks like a violent pit for sure.
it's
Beyond violent.
oh man, it was yeah, yeah, it was. Getting to see, and thankfully, I wasn't in that pit, but you know, it was. I was kind of staying clear of it because I've been told about Slayer pits. You know what I mean? About like you don't want to get into that.
Hmm. Yep. Same. I've heard so many stories.
Oh yeah.
Broken bones, broken eye sockets, all
hmm
sorts of crazy shit. I'm thinking to myself, well, why would you want to risk going in there? What's wrong with you?
Right. Well,
Somebody
I
needs to be
mean,
slapped in the next week.
well, yeah, but I mean, I'm the kind of guy that'd be crazy enough, though, especially if I loved Slayer that much. I'd probably be the kind of guy that would have my hands handcuffed behind my back and go in there blindfolded and be like, "All right, let's go." You know what I mean? Let's go.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
We don't go all MMA on them, you know what I mean?
Right. Right. But it's like,
That'd be it.
oh man. But it was God, what was it? Probably one of the weirdest pits that I'd ever seen. I don't know if this is for anybody else or if you've even seen anything crazier than this, but the very first time I ever, actually the third time rather, that I saw Slipknot, which was so weird at Harpo's, right? I didn't, as I'd never been in a pit before, but my friends kind of like told me they're like, oh, people aren't gonna really mosh to this, really, you know. So we get in there within like less than 10 seconds, I'm already over by the exit door. I'm like just kind of standing like watching. I'm kind of standing watching and stuff. That whole big intro comes out and they're doing their big, they're doing the thing like the big intro of all them and everything. And then all of a sudden, I see Clown, their drummer. I just see him kind of start going down like this and start doing that. And the second he bounces his head down like that, I'm already over by the door. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm trying to get through all this, and there's like garbage cans and like bar stools flying all over the place. I see bodies flying all over me. And I'm like, what is this? This is so crazy. You know,
That was fun.
hmm And there's like
That was
people jumping.
definitely a lot of fun.
There's like people jumping off the railings and stuff like that into the crowds. And Sid Wilson, their DJ, sets himself on fire, jumps into the crowd. Does all that,
Oh
and then he's
wow.
you know he's being escorted back. He actually I'm not sure if it was him or one of the security guards like pushed me out of the way really really hard. He's like, get out of the way to bring him back up on stage. you know
Oh dude.
yeah, 'cause I remember just like I remember I got pushed way back like really really hard. I look over and I got these security guards like covering him up or whatever it was, but you could tell it was
Mhm.
Sid, you could tell it was Sid because you could see the big barcode on the back. And I'm like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
okay, so they're all trying to protect him, from getting beaten up to bring him back up on the stage. And I was like, oh man, this is just chaos. This is awesome, you know?
And it is pretty wild. Yeah. I would. I mean, I would totally throw down in the pit, but
hmm
hey, I haven't done it in a while.
Oh yeah, oh,
I
at my
was
age
able to
now.
have a corpse.
Well, yeah, no, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm only 41, but it's like, now I don't know if I can handle it in there anymore.
Try doing it at 45, dude. It'll blow your mind. Even headbanging is a struggle sometimes.
Mm. Oh
I
yeah,
mean, I don't headbang as hard as I used to, but I still do it.
oh yeah. Well, I mean, can you imagine the guys at Cannibal Corpse? They're like in their mid 50s. How can they still do that?
Yeah, that's how I feel about John McCanty from Incantation, watching him doing it, back on Wednesday night. That was just like, wow, you're kicking ass and taking names. I'll tell you what, man, they took that show. Same with Decapitated and Ex Mortis.
hmm
Not that I'm a fan of Darkest Hour. I will
hmm
give them respect regardless because they got good musician, I can't say it, musicianship,
Yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
they have really good stage presence. They put on a good show. I'm just not a fan. I respect that though
hmm
because they're good at what they do. I mean,
hmm
I really like what they did, but I just wouldn't listen to them all the time.
Actually, speaking of
It's
Darkest
okay.
Hour, yeah, speaking of
Yeah.
Darkest Hour though, oh my God, when I was in the Philippines, I attended Pulp SummerSlam, which is was that big metal festival that's out there, right? A lot of different bands had gone
Okay.
out, and Darkest Hour was there. And
Oh wow.
yeah, my biggest memory of them was, obviously their singer came out and we got to talk with him. And then all of a sudden here comes, I think it was their guitar player or one of their members, is like this blonde-haired dude. He comes out and he's in his underwear and socks. He's walking around and I'm like, what happened? He's like, I didn't have any extra clothes. It's hot out here.
Oh damn.
Yeah, he's just walking around. He's just walking around just outside, like where the crowd's at, and there's everything like that. He just comes out. He's in his socks and his underwear.
Damn, dude, because I would have been like, sorry, I didn't bring any spare shirts, dude. Didn't
Right,
know you needed it.
right. And he's just holding a beer and everything like that. We're just all talking and everything. And I'm kind of like, I'm like, man, this only happens in metal, doesn't it? Only happens in
Yep.
metal.
The funniest things happen all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, because I actually with the Garza podcast, actually, that was that episode of Shannon, right, when he was talking about how when they were about to go out on a big tour with Black Dahlia, apparently somebody broke into his car, stole his laptop and his luggage. And
Oh,
yeah, and then so he didn't have any clothes, and so he said people were just giving him shirts and everything like that.
wow.
Yeah, people were just giving him clothes, and I
Oh,
mean, I didn't know the tours could do that though. That people could like where people could like get their stuff stolen like that, and then all of a sudden now there's like they don't have any clothes or anything like that for tour.
Yeah, anything can happen. You just gotta keep watching it, every angle.
Oh
You
man.
know,
Well, yeah. Well, especially because you're out there.
crazy.
I mean, I get it because you're out there with your bandmates. There's really no security with you guys or anything like that. There's really unless of course you're like fucking Metallica or like Megadeth or something like that has like a million freaking like bodyguards for the place or something. But you
Yeah,
know,
for real. A
yeah.
trailer full. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Well, yeah.
You probably
But
got like
that's
an army of security guards, Metallica at this point in time.
well, yeah.
You
It's
can't
almost
listen to them
impossible to get
guys.
near. Well, yeah, it's like impossible to get near those guys. You know what I mean? But
It's just like,
yep, yep. Well, actually,
it's
that
not gonna work.
right. Yeah. Well, yeah. But I remember it was at Sounds of the Underground, I believe it was. Yeah. We were it's the Fillmore, which used to be the State Theater in Detroit. And I kept trying to like I kept trying to talk to Odorous, right? Because I kept seeing him walking around before he died, obviously, Dave Brocky. And um the security just kept like blocking me out. I'm like, dude, but he's right here. They're like, well, do you have a ticket for the meet and greet? I'm thinking, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, there was nothing like that. I'm like, he's just standing right over there, you know, and he's just walking by and everything. And then they were basically like, well, you're gonna have to go out there and buy the, buy the VIP thing and then go back in. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? There was some kind of a thing that they needed, whatever it was. And then I ended up just seeing the Guar guys anyway, meeting some of the Guar guys later on anyway.
Oh
And
wow.
then, and then at the same thing, Sounds of the Underground. This is where we got to meet Amon Amarth, right? They were there, but apparently they were late because I guess there was some sort of a problem with the immigration shit coming out of Canada or coming into the U.S. They some kind of a visa problem, and so they were and so uh we kept thinking because we kept looking at the schedule. We're like, wait, Amon Amarth is supposed to play after like Job for a Cowboy or something like that, right? And we're like, why are they not here? What the heck's going on, right? And then so they were like, yeah, there's some visa shit going on. So I think it was their merch guy or somebody. He's like, there's some fucking visa issue at the border. He's like, they were held for a couple of hours. And then what happened was that so they did, by the time they got there, we're sitting talking to the guy, right? They're talking to one of their guys. I think it was Job for a Cowboys merch guy actually that was doing the Amon Amarth stuff or something. I can't remember what it was. And then all of a sudden we hear Johan Hegg walk up. And he's like, "What the fuck is up, Detroit?" The really, really thick, like, the Viking sounding accent. And we're like, "What the fuck is this?" It turns out that they ended up getting there in enough time, but they didn't have any time to get to set up all their amps and their drums. So they used Job for a Cowboys amps and drum set.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And but basically what it was, as soon as they got on the bus, they're like, move, 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 get in, get in, get in, get in, do it. You got to get in because it's doing the show and everything like that. So basically, they just came right on in and just did it. Came in cold, pretty much. But they
Hmm.
tore the whole place down. Like they seriously tore everybody else out. They blew everybody else out of the water without even warming up. You know what I mean?
That's insane. I've never seen that happen with any band.
Yeah, but that was just it was so they didn't have any time to actually warm anything up or anything like that because from what I was told they had brought the big Viking longship that they have and everything like that, but it wasn't up there, you know. It
Oh
was
wow.
just yeah, like it didn't have any time for the set changeover, so they were borrowing some of the equipment and stuff like that. And then as soon as they were up, the security let me go straight up to that table, and I got to talk to all the guys. You know what I mean? And then except Johan, and I was like, where the heck is Johan at, right? And then me and my buddies, we want to go get some water and stuff like that, go get a couple beers because we were a little bit thirsty. And then, sure enough, there's Johan already freaking smashed. This, all of a sudden I see this big jolly Viking guy with like long hair. I'm like, is that Johan? I'm like, hey, what's up, man? He walks up, he's like, gives me this big old bear hug. And I'm thinking,
Damn.
okay. I'm looking at my friend. I'm sitting here. I'm like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I'm like turning red. Looking over at my friend, like, help, 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 help. Because like Johan's like sitting here squeezing me like this. My friend's going like, dude. He's like, I'm not gonna try. He's like, I'm not gonna piss him off, man. I'm like, I'm thinking, help, help, help. He's like, oh, hugging me so hard. It was so crazy.
That's hilarious, Colin.
Yeah, it
No,
was.
I had a similar situation that happened to me when I
Uh-huh.
had seen Motorhead and met Motorhead and seen Corrosion of Conformity. My
Hmm.
friend Scott and I were in front of the tour bus. We're yelling COC over and over, right? Well,
Mhm.
Pepper Keenan jumps off the bus from the top step right in front of me, picks me up, give me a bear hug like you had gotten from Johan.
Uh-huh.
And I'm looking at Pepper like, Pepper. He's like, what's up, man? Put me down, man. I ain't no chick. Sorry, dude. And I'm just like, holy shit. And then I look at his hands and I see these fingers about like that fucking big or so. And I'm just like, are you serious? He's like an ogre. And he's like, what can I do for you, man? I'm like, I want an autograph. He's got something for me to sign. So on
Uh-huh.
the back of this business card that I
Mhm.
had at the time, he signed that for me. I didn't have any merch by them. I didn't
Mhm.
have own any t-shirts by them or anything, but
Mhm.
he signed the back of a Precision Automotive Service card in Endicott, New York.
Oh
And I'm
God.
thinking to myself, what the fuck, man? Did you have anything to be signed in the first place, Al? No. Well, hey,
Yeah.
gotta improvise, you
There
know?
you go. Well, that's
Gotta
happened
improvise a
before.
little bit.
Well, that's happened before. Like when was it MCUD, which is Jared from Head PE, and West Style Wesley here, who was their old guitar player now. Um, I didn't ha yeah, my friend and I didn't really have anything to sign. Right, the same situation. So they signed the envelope. One of them signed the envelope. I think it was Jared signed the ticket envelope that all of their tickets were in, and then
Mhm.
West Style Wesley signed the back of this like Soulfly fan club flyer that we got. He just signs the back of that, and then my friend walks up to him with his hat. He's got this like Clemson hat or something like that. He's like, hey, he's like, Wes, can you sign? He's like, can you sign "I love you" on my hat? Because the person who asked before us had asked, can you sign "I love you" on this? Is like, no, I will not sign "I love you" on your shirt, right? And then so my friend walks up, he's like, can you sign "I love you" on my hat? He's like, sure. He's like, can you say can you put "I love you, Foo-hoo"? That was my friend's nickname. He's like, can I love you? He's like, can you write "I love you, Foo-hoo" on my hat? He's like, sure. He's like, it was like, oh my
That's
God.
awesome, dude.
And then
That's
he's and then
that's funny, but awesome.
well, then we were sitting talking with him for like 10 minutes out in front of the State Theater, and then these people come flying, these rich kids come driving by, and this big Mercedes blaring a bunch. I don't even know if it was like Diddy or something. Oh my God, or some kind of weird thing like that. And it's like you just hear this rap and everything. He turns around like this. He looks over and he's like, "Yeah, nice fucking car, you fucking preppy motherfucker." As they're driving by, I'm like, "Oh my God, what the fuck, dude? We're gonna get shot out here," you know. But it's all but it was but it was like without even missing a beat, he just looked at that and then he's just like that to me was like I'm like this is exactly why we love this stuff. This is exactly why we love this shit. You know what I mean?
It takes balls, dude. It takes mega balls to do this shit. I mean, I
Uh-huh.
wouldn't want it any other way, you
No,
know?
definitely not. No, definitely not. And actually
Yes.
I mean getting to see Soulfly like when they were very like during their inception, during the time that they
Mhm.
like had first started, was like one of the craziest things. It was during the Strangeland tour when we saw that when D. Snyder had just released that sort of I guess it was a horror flick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that was
Strangeland.
a good
Yeah,
one.
yeah. They had like Linda Cardellini with her mouth sewn shut or something like that in the cage or something. And but yeah, it was a really cool tour. It was a really cool tour getting to see D. Snyder in this tiny in a theater of all things, you know. And he just come in and introduce the bands, and we're just like, dude, I'm like, that's actually D. fucking Snyder. That's so crazy. What the hell? And and he's just introducing all the bands, and he's like, what was if I remember what he said correctly, he said he's like when we were trying to we were trying to come up with like a soundtrack for the fucking movie. People were like, oh, you want you to put Twisted Sister and all this other stuff on. And he's like I don't want any of that fucking cock rock shit. He's like I want like fucking bands like Soulfly. He's like I want all this other shit, man. He's like and so he delivered with all of it. He's like I want none of that fucking cock rock shit on there. And it was so he definitely had a really good lineup with that group, or that with that tour. I remember that very vividly. 98 or so, yeah, like maybe mid 1998, shortly
Oh,
after,
well.
about a year or two after Max Cavalera's stepson was killed in a car accident.
Yep, I remember hearing about that. That sucked.
Surprisingly, where I'm actually at right now, the actual accident site is about maybe 2 or 3 miles away from where I have. from I'm actually like 2 or 3 miles away from where that actual accident happened.
Wow.
Yeah. Uh, when I read about that, I was like, "Holy crap, dude!" I'm not even that far away from it. You know what I mean? It's just it's and it's been I've wanted to figure out where I could go and at least like see Dana Wells' grave and stuff like that, but I know it's in one of the things out there, but it's like just kind of like pay my respects, basically like, dude, you are the stepson of a legend, bro. Max
Mhm.
Cavalera. I mean, Sepultura, Beneath the Remains. I mean, come on, all the different iconic albums that they came up with. You know what I mean? It's, I mean,
Doesn't get any better than that.
I know. Well, I mean, and the fact that it's like, you never thought anything like that would ever come out of Brazil. But then you get like
Right?
Christian that comes out of there, who was freaking
Oh my
phenomenal
God.
live. Yeah, Christian's phenomenal live.
Maniacal.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw them with Decrypt the Birth Invader a couple
Oh
years
man.
ago, right? I'll
Hmm.
tell you what, man, meeting those guys was an honor as well because
Hmm.
I I got to hang out with them just briefly, but I'm just
Hmm.
glad to get pictures with them. And they're like, "Oh, wait, we remember who you are. You're Boris Bonijo's friend." I'm like, "Yeah, what's up, guys?" They're like, "Alex." I'm like, "Hey."
Yep.
So, got
That's
pictures and autographs. I was happy.
mm. Well, actually, there's a few pictures I got of this was 2010, January 2010, actually on my birthday, as a matter of fact.
Nice.
Yeah, it was like Niall. It was Niall, Christian. I think there was Rose Funeral was there too. Dreaming Dead, Immolation. It was like, and I was like, my God, I got to treat myself for this show for my birthday. Sure enough, I did, and
Well, yeah,
man, dude, it was one hell of a birthday too, man, because I got to meet like pretty much all the bands, which was so crazy. It
nice,
was.
dude.
I got to meet the guys in Rose Funeral. I got to meet.
Mhm.
I got to meet Liz, the guitarist, the female guitarist from Dreaming Dead. I actually interviewed her when this show used to be a radio show for MetalMessiahRadio.com before. Thank you guys, by the way, for that, for all the experience. But um, but it
Mhm.
was actually yeah, I interviewed her. But not to mention she was completely blown out of her gourd. She was so high as fuck when I interviewed her.
I can imagine.
Yep. But when I had met her, I have a picture with her. It's on my Facebook. Um, Carl from Nile. I remember when I first interacted with him, right? He's already done. He's got that guitar with the big old pointed headstock on it with the blood on the end of it and everything like that. And then
That thing's sharp.
oh, is it?
Hey, yeah, I mean, I remember when I saw Niall back February 2nd, 2006 in Rochester, New York. He actually pointed it towards me, and I actually touched it, and I'm just like, ow, that
Oh
fucker's
my
stinging.
damn.
It
Oh,
it actually will prick you if you're not careful. Thankfully,
uh,
that did not happen.
oh
But
yeah, for
I'm
sure.
just saying, it's sharp,
No, I mean,
guaranteed.
but with him though, it was so crazy because I got to actually, at the end of it, he comes up right, and I asked for the set list if I could have the set list right, and then he looks over, he's
Hmm.
like this, he's like, well, say please. I'm like, may I please have the set list? He's like, okay, sure, you may, and then I was just like, okay, well,
Wow.
I'm like, how about a picture? Wait, can I get a picture with you? He's like, say please. Can I please have a picture with you? He's like, okay. I was like, yeah, all right.
Wow, dude,
Yeah.
that's a dick move. I hate to say that about Carl, but still, yeah, I'm not a fan of Nile like I used to be. I mean, I like some of their shit, don't get me wrong. Yeah, they're great
Mm-hmm.
musicians, but I just don't listen to them like I used to.
Oh,
I really
yeah.
don't.
No, no, I mean,
That's how it's been lately, Colin.
what gets me though is, what gets me about it is, oh, actually, the reason I really, really enjoy them a lot is like, obviously George, their drummer, I just like is
He's a
insane.
he's a machine, all on his own, dude.
I was like,
I
how
can
can any, huh? Sorry?
I was gonna say I can hear him blasting my head right now.
Well, I watched a video of the drum playthrough of was it Sacrifice unto Sebek? when he was doing that,
Yeah.
and how fast he was going with that. And then if you watched when he was that Ithyphallic or whatever it is, that one for the that song, and I saw how he's doing like the
Mhm.
dun 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 dun, 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 the really heavy part, and he's just
Oh
doing it all like
yeah.
this. He's just sitting here like it's all nothing. He's just doing all that stuff. He's just boom, doing nothing. Like it's almost nothing to him. You know what I mean?
Even seen him doing, the swivel technique on double bass.
Hmm.
Seeing that live just blew my mind. I was like, what the fuck? What is he doing up there? I
Uh-huh.
mean, I've never seen anybody do that before on double bass drums before. I was
Uh-huh.
just so mind blown about that. And I
Uh-huh.
can still remember seeing it in my head.
Oh yeah.
The stage was red and he's just like, "Mm, mm, 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 mm." I'm like, what the hell?
Yo.
I can't play drums, but I mean, I tried, but it just doesn't work.
Hmm. No, with me the same way too. Like I'll get behind it and I'm just kind of like hit the thing like this. I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm like, yeah, there we go. I can't figure anything out on it.
Yeah, hand me a pair of drumsticks. Let me do a blast beat on the snare drum. And it's like, bah, 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 bah. And it's like, nope, I'm done.
Yo.
I'm done.
Oh yeah. Well,
Sorry.
no,
Hand it
and
back over to somebody.
hmm no, when somebody told me about the old drummer that I had before that told me about like a gravity blast or something, I was like, what the heck is a gravity blast? He's like, think of it as a one-handed drum roll. I'm like, how the hell do you do a one-handed drum roll? He actually shows me on the snare. He's all like, he's like, you just set the stick like this. He's like, you kind of put it like, he's like, you just kind of move it up and down really, really fast. It's almost like rolling. Like, I was like, what? He shows it. I couldn't even see his hand. He's doing all that. I'm like, what the heck? And he's also doing like the double kicks as well, at the same time with it. I'm like, how are you able to
Yeah,
do that? And it switches back into a fill. And I'm like, what the, you know?
I actually filmed next to Humble before he wasn't in Cataclysm anymore,
Uh-huh.
doing a gravity blast on a drum pad.
Uh-huh.
I'll have to send you that video
Okay.
so you can check it out. It's on my old YouTube channel, which I have no access to, but it's still up there.
All right. All
Yeah,
right.
it's pretty.
Well, Al, I definitely want to thank you for coming in and everything like that. Definitely it's been awesome talking to you, bro, for sure.
Likewise, brother.
Definitely, definitely. And remember, everybody, to go ahead and subscribe to this channel, subscribe to Al's channel, of course, Underground Noise Magazine. Definitely keep us all active here. You know what I mean? For sure on this big metal
I know.
community. Yep. And again, once again, Al, thank you so much for coming through. You're more than welcome to come in anytime, man.
Sick. And by the way, Colin, I hate to correct you, it's Webzine.
Webzine. Yep. Underground Noise Webzine. Yes.
Yep. And check out Nightmare Crypt, everybody. Crushing Corruption is our first single. It was released last year. It's on every streaming platform, including YouTube
All
and
right.
Spotify, Amazon Music, iTunes, and is it Beezer? If I'm not mistaken, I think that's
Teaser.
another one.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know too much about it, but
All right.
Colin, thanks for having me tonight. It's been a fucking blast, bro.
Definitely, bro. All right. And guys, keep it metal. Remember, always like and subscribe here. You'll probably see that link down below. All right. Peace, guys.
Later on.